Hey everyone, I'm AM Davies. This is YAS Stripper Podcast or YAS Podcast, and today I'm here with Akynos from the Black Sex Worker Collective. Hello, Akynos. How are you doing today?
Hi, AM. How are you? I'm doing good.
I'm good. Thank you so much for being with us today. Today we're talking about specifically the collaboration with Strippers United and the Fire Fund partnership.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So we wanted to talk about the inspiration. What inspired you to do this collaboration with Strippers United to raise funds for Black sex workers in California?
I know that Strippers United is run by Black leadership, and I did hear in a brief convo with you that Nats was under a lot of pressure with what was happening.
Yeah,
So I was like, how can we support our sisters in the US in getting some kind of relief? Because BSWC, because of what's happening there, our funds are really low, so we couldn't directly just contribute to helping, the
right.
Black sex workers from Strippers United at like LA, because we're like based in New York, like East Coast side. So it was like, maybe the best way to contribute is to do a separate fundraiser um, to support the community because we ourselves don't have enough funds and to be able to support probably what is a really large community of people
That-
in a good way. Hmm.
right. And the devastation is like,
Yeah, it's huge.
yeah,
Why not try to do something broader and maybe more money can be raised than what we would be able to give or raise on our own. So hopefully it supports.
I'm so happy to be working with both of you because I just love both organizations so much. So, um,
We
you
love
know,
you
I
too.
Thanks. Thank you. And so I wanted the audience to understand, just in case they haven't heard of the Black Sex Worker Collective yet, what exactly type of work that your organization is up to and how long you've been doing it, etc.
So we have been around since 2018 and just organizing different art projects, mainly to bring visibility to sex workers and just our overall existence as people. So a lot of sex worker created art to just kind of boost the education for the public. I'm trying to, I had a word in my mind and it slipped. Trying to change public perception of Black sex workers in particular through art. We also participate with our coalition of groups through across the US and some parts of Africa, where we work on different policies or very straight world activism, such as like going to the Commission on the Status of Women every year at the United Nations,
Nice.
or supporting in contributing to the Universal Periodic Review with Best Practices Policy Project and New Jersey Red Umbrella Alliance and Outlaw Project. So we work on actions like that, on a real baseline level to try and implement different policies to government officials and just being like these more formal spaces, if you will, to make sure our presence is there in order to change laws and policies and perception on sex workers and our contribution to society.
Right.
As well, outside of the art, outside of the politics, we do other projects. We do a lot of what I would say micro mutual aid contributions to the community pretty regularly, and I would say that's a that's like pretty much the basis of our work to
That's
mutual
all.
aid. I mean, yeah, that's all. It's just nothing too crazy, just
it
policies and mutual aid and art.
So circling back to, let's talk about this disaster in California, not just that one, but how you see a correlation and sort of a pattern of these types of disasters, that because California is not the only area, right, that has
Mhm.
disasters that affect sex workers. So my question is, what can you tell us about how disasters like this, based on your experience, directly affect Black sex workers? Like, what is it that is happening for them that may be different for other people, and why it's so important to hold Black sex workers in situations like this?
I think by now we should all know that one of the most marginalized groups across the globe is sex workers, particularly Black sex workers. So when disasters like this happen, it takes a toll on us because we're not, in like for mainstream, like say organizations or funding, we're not going to be the first in line to receive any kind of support. We're pretty much forgotten and pushed to the side, and everyone else's issues are always more important than sex worker rights issues. No one sees the connection with sex workers and the overall collapse of society or lack thereof. Like, if we kind of would hold up the most marginalized people, I think that we'd probably be in a better place, but no one ever listens to the most marginalized, right? So when this stuff like this happens, we're the ones that are gonna be forgotten. We're the last ones to get aid. We're the last ones to anything. We see what's happening right now, like just across the globe with how the U.S. is contributing to a lot of the downfall of entire nations, and the most marginalized in those communities are like not getting their medicine. They're not able to buy food. They're not able to pay for their housing. So, this is what happens. So it's important that we don't lose sight of our importance and how we contribute to society, and that we continue to create resources and systems to be able to lift ourselves up, because no one else is going to do it. So we have to be able to do that. Hence the conference.
The Black Sex Worker Conference.
Yes.
Yes, which I definitely want you to talk about in closing. So, my last question, can you share any information regarding Black sex workers and how they're on the forefront of various movements throughout history?
We're thinking about just Black sex workers' involvement in movement. We can think about Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera and the contributions they have made, into this movement to push us forward. We could even like reference like T.S. Madison and how vocal she is on her very large platform in talking about her experiences as a Black trans woman sex worker. And we've always been at the forefront of these movements. We just don't necessarily get acknowledged, because even like when you think of Maya Angelou, right, having to be involved in this, even if it was just a short stint, or even Malcolm X, and that being like, whatever, I don't know how long in time that they were engaged into this work, but that part of the history always gets kind of like downplayed, as if that isn't a relevant or important aspect to their growth as a person and the work that they've done and what they have stood for. So we've always been there. We're always going to be there. And it's a for me as an organizer, the Black Sex Worker Collective exists because I want to make sure that we don't get erased, and that when we're talking about the stuff that we do as people, that being a sex worker is a core element to how people talk about us, in an effort to just shift the mindset of people and what they think that, we do, and what our involvement is in society, or who we can become beyond that, because we're
Yeah.
not just sex workers, but we're sex workers, and that means a lot. So, like we can do a lot, and we can contribute a lot because of that experience.
Do you want to just mention the conference, since we're here and
Yeah,
it's
sure.
coming up soon after this? Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up very soon, and we're so behind. So we hope that we get a lot of people to be involved. We're still trying to finalize the in-person date for Berlin, But basically, it commemorates World Health Day and our seventh birthday in April. And it was ignited because of, well, this should have happened a while ago, but I always I was kind of like on the fence, like, do I even want to do this because it's a lot to organize? But because of what's happening now in the world with, the takeover, the coup that's happening in the White House, and how America influences so many other countries.
Hmm.
Um, it's important now that we have this conference to pretty much, kind of shift how we do things. We have to kind of go back to our basics in some ways, relearn things that have been kind of forgotten because we've gotten so used to how technology has, helped us. But we also like forget how to do like these really like tactile like elements like in our lives, like how we can grow our food, like if because we're like a lot of us are living like in the city, right, where we don't have to go learn how to tend to those chickens. We've forgotten that. We might forgot how to like grow our food properly. I know for one, I'm continuously killing all my plants. So like all my herbs, it's like they just die. So it's like we need to go back to that, go back to ways of caring for each other, preparing ourselves to support ourselves and community, in case there's like some kind of food crisis. Who knows? With how much America affects the other countries, particularly those in the global south, who still have a lot of like diseases and infections that happen to them, such as, for instance, malaria, right? All this stuff can easily make a comeback because nothing is disconnected, chopping down those rainforests, not disconnected from what in the world could happen with them damn mosquitoes and their infections. So we kind of have to learn all these things. We have to learn from the people in the global south who don't have the infrastructure that we have, as well as from other people within our community that have continued on the traditions of like old medicine, and you just older, forgotten, or just not disrespected, I would say, ways of taking care of each other. So this conference is pretty much about that, about being prepared, about being in your villain era. The theme is villainous. The time is now, and the time is now to be in that villain era, have some discipline, learn how to prepare, have some respect for the social code, and take care of your community. It doesn't have to be 500 of us doing it, but in little like pockets, we can be preparing and taking care of each other and making sure that we're going to be okay at the end of this. Because just as black people, women, sex workers, all these marginalized groups, no one else is going to really be caring for us. So what are we going to do? Are we going to fight through it, or are we going to just like die? So for those of us that might want to fight a little bit, or we're forced to kind of fight because we're not going to like throw ourselves into the river, um, we kind of have to know how we're going to be able to sustain. So this conference is all about that: sustaining, discipline, caring for yourselves, and caring for each other.
I love that. And is this in person or online or both?
Both. It's going to be hybrid.
Okay.
There's going to be some in-person sessions in Berlin, Germany, and then there's going to be some hybrid sessions
Okay.
online. We're
And
doing
where
our
can
best.
yeah, I'm sure it's a lot. I've seen your conferences. They're very involved, and there's a lot of important information, a lot of important things happening, and I have seen the production of them. And where can people learn more about the conference, or register and sponsor, etc.? Where should they go?
You can go to the bswc.org, where we need to put up those links for sponsoring and stuff, right? Aren't they up on the site? I hope
Mhm.
so. I hope they are.
Yes,
I think those
yes.
links are up on the site into the press release. So if you want to register and get more information, a lot of stuff is going to be coming out starting this week all the way through April. So people need to repost, reshare, sign up, donate, do all of the things, and attend. It's a 3-day thing, and we're not going to have a jam-packed schedule. So whoever's on the thing is going to be tight. It's going to be really tight with like important information. So
Okay.
we'll see how it goes. We're
Okay.
still in the planning phase.
Awesome. Well, thank you for updating us about that. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today so that we could get this information out to more people. And I'm looking forward to us having you on for a longer amount of time so we can learn more about you personally, and we can do a deep
Yes.
dive into the Black Sex Worker Collective in the near future that's coming up. So thank you for that. Thank you for this and for all the work that you do continuously.
Thank you, darling. Donate to the
Yes.
fundraiser.
Please donate to the Fire Fund partnership collaboration with Strippers United and the Black Sex Worker Collective. To donate, your donations are tax exempt. Go to strippersunited.org.